Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is B. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. And if it's the first time here, oh my god, thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate. So today I'm making today's video basically because I've been receiving some questions, like, people ask me questions like, oh, I finished with a low CGPA, do I stand a chance, can I get full funding and all of that. In fact, I know some people that didn't even try, like they gave up before they even started the process because it just felt like, oh, I don't have a first class, so I don't have a chance, I don't stand a chance, and all sort of things like that. So that basically was what inspired me to make this video. And it's normal to feel that way, it's normal to think that way, because I remember before I started the process I also had those thoughts. I used to think that this whole thing is meant for people with first class, very strong CGPA and all of that. So yes, I'm going to be giving you guys the first shocker. I didn't finish with a first class, I didn't finish the strong CGPA, I didn't finish the 2-1, I finished with a 2-2. That is a second class lower. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this to make you know that, okay, if I can do this process through a second class lower CGPA, then what is your excuse? I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. I hate the fact that that sounds like aspire to Maguire. No, I'm not trying to do aspire to Maguire. I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker here. But I'm just trying to let you know that, I mean, you really don't have an excuse. Do you understand? So that's why I made this video, because in this video I'm going to be giving you tips, things that you can incorporate into your application process that will help you, that will go a long way for you, and things that you should avoid, things that you shouldn't do, and things that you should do. Do you understand? And I'm not going to be repeating things I already mentioned in my previous video. I mean, I know I've told you guys, oh, don't write a generic SOP. If you've not watched the video, please go and watch it. And I've mentioned that, oh, don't write a generic SOP, don't write a generic LOR, all stuff like that. Of course, do not write a generic SOP, but I'm not going to be repeating things I already mentioned in that video. I'm going to be giving you tips. And if you finished with a very strong CGPA and you feel, oh, I don't need this video, no, you do, because trust me, it's a big plus for you. If you incorporate these things I'm about to mention into your application, even with a strong CGPA, it's really going to help you. And if you finish with a 2-1 and below, this is definitely going to help you. So the first thing I'm going to be saying is that you should avoid two popular schools, like schools that are popular. What I mean by popular is that you might belong to a platform whereby everybody there is trying to process studying abroad and all of that, and then more than half of the members of that group are applying to a particular school. I mean, you just try to avoid schools like that. So probably on Nigerian, so people are applying to a particular school, avoid schools like that. I call them Bugberu school. Like, that's where everybody's rushing to. The reason is because there's a slot for each continent or whatever. For example, maybe they're planning on just admitting like 3 people from Africa, 3 people from Asia, like that. Now, if you already know like about 10 persons that are applying to that particular schools, I mean, think about it. There are other people that you don't even know, and these people have a slot for Africa. So I'm not saying you will not stand a chance, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying your chances are like quite slim. So you that you don't now have a strong CGPA, you just don't want to you just want to avoid schools like that, because schools like that are already competitive. They receive, and trust me, those schools want the best of the best. So you want to avoid schools like that. Another thing I'm going to be saying is that always make sure you check ranking, because this is so common. Like, some people just apply to schools without even checking the ranking of the school, and then you don't even know, like some of them are even shooting maybe like top 50 school or something, and they don't have a strong CGPA. Like, I'm not trying to CGPA shame you if anything like that exists, because I also didn't have a strong CGPA, but I'm just trying to be realistic with you. I mean, you should check the ranking of the school and be sure that the school you are shooting to is not higher than your profile. And when I say profile, I mean your CGPA, GRE, TOEFL, everything together is not higher than your profile. There's something I used to say, or there's something I used to hear people say, there is a school for every profile. There is a school for every profile. And the fact that you feel that, oh, you're not going to an highly ranked school does not mean that you're going to a bad school. Like, majority of the schools here standard. Make sure you check the ranking. usnews.com, I shared this link in my previous video. You go to usnews.com, you type name of the school, and it's going to tell you like the national ranking. So depending on your profile, depending on your CGPA, on your profile altogether, you can either apply to top 100 or top 200 or top 300. So it just depends. So you don't have to, because everybody's applying to maybe one top school, you want to join them and apply there. Check the ranking first. Be sure that the ranking is within your, you know, your profile. There's a school for everybody, okay? So don't just overshoot. Like, it's always fun when I hear some people say, oh, I'm applying to this school, and I'm like, do you even know the ranking of that school? I mean, I'm not trying to say that you cannot get in, do you understand? But I'm just trying to say that, you know, you have to be really strategic. You can come here and then you can now choose to cross to another school. Oh, well and good, but just try to get in here first. Do you understand? Another thing I'm going to be saying is that try to have like a very high GRE and TOEFL score. Like, have a score that is as high as possible. I shared in my previous video that the review is like, they review holistically. They don't just check, oh, CGPA, oh, this person finished with a first class, we are picking this person. This person has a low CGPA, we are not picking this person. No, they review holistically. They check your CGPA, your GRE score, GMAT score, your TOEFL or IELTS score, your statement of purpose, letters of recommendation, academic CV. They check everything holistically. Do you understand? So the fact that you are somebody that have ICGP is applying to a school does not mean that because the person has a higher CGPA, the person is going to get in before you know. It really does not work that way. So what is my point? My point is that out of all these things that they review, there is only one that you don't have power over. There's only one that you cannot change. There is only one that is constant, and that is your CGPA. You finish with the CGPA already, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go back to school and say, oh no, I want to have a strong CGPA, I want to, no. Like, that's the only constant K out of the application process. You cannot change it. So the other things that you have power to change, God, you really want to work on them as much as possible. So your GRE score, you've not written GRE, you already know the CGPA you finished with. You really want to have a very high score. I told you guys I finished with a low CGPA, but I had a very good GRE score, and that's just what you want to do. You want to have a very high score. So depending on your CGPA, you want to have a very competitive GRE score, a very competitive TOEFL or IELTS score, because that will just help the other part of your application, like your application profile or whatever. That will just really help it. And also you want to have an SOP that stands out, that statement of purpose. You don't want to have a generic SOP. So the other part of your application that you know that you can change at this time, don't say because, oh, I want to apply this May, application will soon close, and then you now, because of that, you want to rush and prepare for GRE and TOEFL within 1 month. I mean, I'm not saying you cannot prepare within 1 month and have a very good score, no, but I'm just saying you really don't have to rush the process. Just take your time. Do you understand? You can apply next year, you can apply during spring, you can apply later this year. Just take your time. Don't try to rush the whole process. Prepare for GRE, be very sure you are well prepared. Prepare for your TOEFL, be very sure you are well prepared. That's if your script requires GRE anyways. So be very sure you are well prepared. Take practice tests. See if those practice tests, the score you're having those practice tests are what, because you should have a score that you're aiming. I had my target score, so you should have your target score. So be sure that your practice tests, like you've taken 3 consecutively and then they mirror the target score you want. So that will show that okay, you are well prepared. Don't just jump into the exam and just, you know, GRE validity is 5 good years. So if you rush into it and then you have a bad score, I mean, the result is going to be for 5 years, except you now have to waste money to rewrite another one. So what's the point? GRE validity is 5 years, TOEFL is 2 years, I think IELTS is 2 years. So just make sure you score a GRE and TOEFL score that is as high as possible. Also, before I continue further, I'm going to be making a video on FAQs, like your frequently asked questions on the application process. I've received some couple of questions that I've taken note of, but if you have any question regarding graduate school application, drop it in the comment section down below. So I'm going to be making a video on your FAQs and I'm going to be answering all of those questions. So drop all your questions while I attend to them. Another thing I'm going to be saying is that you should try to secure a PI. I've mentioned this before, so in my previous video, if you've not watched it, please go and watch it. Secure a PI, that's principal investigator, and that's like your supervisor and advisor that you work with when you get here. So you can secure a supervisor even while applying. Like, I won't go deep into this because I've talked about it before. If you've not watched it, once again, go and watch it. So try to secure a PI. It will really increase your chances of getting admitted. Then lastly, what I'm going to be saying is, if you can afford it, please try to do WES try to evaluate your transcripts, as it's really going to help you. Aside the fact that, you know, I said it before, that it makes your CGPA look better. Like, for example, you finished with 3.4 over 5.0. By the time you are doing worse, it can now be like maybe 3.1 over 4.0, which makes sense. Do you understand? Like, if you tell me I finished with 3.1 over 4.0, I'll be like, oh, that's a fair CGPA. Compared to when you tell me you finished with 3.4 over 5.0, I'll be like, do you understand? So try to do worse. But that's not even the major thing I want to say. Now, if you end up doing worse, don't waste the fact that you spent money to do worse. Apply majorly to schools that require worse. Apply to schools that they made it mandatory, like everybody must do worse. Like, they only accept the evaluated transcript, they don't accept normal transcript. The reason is because those kind of schools are very, very much less competitive. Now, why is it less competitive? Almost everybody does not want to do worse. Who has money to do it? Who has time to do it? When there are lots of schools that don't require way, so why should I have to go to the extra mile to do it? So trust me, lots of students don't like to do it, so they avoid those kind of schools. There was a school I was applying to then, and then I was already done with the application process. I had submitted everything. They told me that no, they don't want my transcript, that they want an evaluated transcript, and because of that I couldn't complete the application. So there'll be so many people that will fall into my category like that they will not apply to that school because they don't have WES. So you that you've done WES, make sure that lots of your applications are into schools that require WES, because those schools don't receive as much applications as other random schools. Most people will avoid those kind of schools, so use the opportunity to shoot into those schools. Those schools are less competitive. There are some schools that are really highly ranked, that have like nice ranking, but they require WES, so people avoid them. So that will be all for this video. Once again, do not forget, if you have any question, please drop it in the comment section below. I'll be making another video on answering your frequently asked questions. So thank you very much for watching my video. Please, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Also, please share my video, share the link to people on your timeline, on your contact list. Don't know who is going to need this. So thank you very much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. My name is Tessy B, and I'm going to see you all in my next video. Bye.